The single most important thing about listing your house is the price. Now, everybody wants to get the most they possibly can for their house, but almost everybody thinks that their house is worth a little bit more than it probably is. So how do realtors come up with the price? What they do is they look at the comparable recent sales, or as we call in the real estate world, comps. So what makes a good comp? Well, first, you want to find a house that's in the same neighborhood. If it's a condo, it's in the same complex. Now, if you don't have houses that are in the same neighborhood that have sold in the last 6 months, then you can push outside and it becomes a little more complicated. But if you do have ones that are in the same neighborhood, you have to use those. The problem is, for the seller sometimes, is that you may look at a neighborhood that's right next door to your neighborhood, and the market might be just a little different in that neighborhood than it is yours. You could have almost the same kind of house, but maybe the prices are a little bit higher. Sometimes they're lower, so it might work out in your advantage. It can seem unfair, but that's how it works. So you have to look in the same neighborhood for comps, because the bank is going to do that as well. We'll talk about that in a second when it comes to the appraisal. So other things that you try to look at that make good comps are the square footage of the home. Try to get it within 500 square feet of the house that you're selling. The amount of bedrooms and bathrooms, the age of the home, upgrades like maybe a guest house out back or a pool, and updates like a new kitchen or new bathrooms or things like that. So all of these things come into play when you're figuring the price of your house. Now keep in mind that just because an update or an upgrade costs a certain amount, that doesn't mean you add that amount onto your house. So if you're thinking, oh, I just spent $100,000 on a pool, that doesn't mean your house is going to cost $100,000 more than a similar house without a pool. Sometimes you'll get about $25,000 to $40,000 for a pool, maybe a little bit more depending on the market. And maybe for an upgrade in the kitchen, you maybe get like $15,000 or $20,000 more, even though it costs $50,000 to update your kitchen. So keep those in mind. Second thing that we look at is the current market. So there might be houses that haven't sold yet that are on the market, that are similar to yours. Let's look at those and see what your competition is like. If your competition is way less, it's less likely that you're going to sell your house for much more if a house that's very similar in the same neighborhood is selling for way less. So you don't want to do that. Another thing to consider is where the house would appraise to from a lender. So if you're trying to sell a house for $500,000, but it only appraises to $475,000, somebody's going to have to come up with a lot more cash to make up that difference. Go look at my video on appraisals if you don't understand what the appraisal is. But if you have a house that's listed way higher than what it'll appraise for, you're actually eliminating a lot of potential buyers that are getting lending, because they're going to look at it and say, well, it's not going to appraise, and they know how much cash they have, and they're going to, well, I can't make up the difference with the appraisal. It might only appraise to here. Now, a cash buyer might not matter if you're looking for that cash buyer, but the cash buyers they're not out there as much as you think they are. Most people are probably getting lending. So you're eliminating a lot of people by listing it too high if it's listed way over the appraisal amount. So keep that in mind. Look at this pyramid. So this pyramid will show you the importance of pricing. At market value, you're getting about 60% of potential buyers to even look at your house, which means that the other 40% are investors. They're people that are looking to flip the house, or they're trying to buy low and sell high. So that's 40%. So if you list below market value, you're going to get some of those people looking at it. If it's 15% lower, that brings in more companies, more investors. So at market value, you're getting about 60% of buyers out there. But notice as you climb up to even 10% over, that cuts in half. That cuts in half to 30%. And if you even go a little bit higher than that, you only go up 5% more, you're cutting down to 10% of buyers. So you got 100 people in a room, only 10 of those people are going to even look at your house if it's overpriced. And there's no guarantee that they're going to buy it. So what it comes down to is the more people that are looking at your house, the more likely you are to sell your house close to what you're asking for, the asking price. In this market of 2021 and 2022, you often will have either what we call a bidding war, or what I like to call panic bidding, is that when people see a well-priced house, they'll come in and give more than the asking price just to outbid someone else. They don't even know what the other person bid, but their first offer is almost like a panic, and they will offer more than the asking price, sometimes up to 20% over, I've seen. And the reason they do this is because they might have a little bit of cash to give. They know that the house is going to appraise, and they know how much cash they have, so they can do it. What a lot of sellers are making the mistake of is raising their prices too high, hoping for some cash buyer to come in and just swoop it up. Well, the problem is that people that have a lot of money typically are good with their money, and they're going to know from their realtor that the house is overpriced. So they're not going to come in and say, "Oh, I'll take that. They'll take that overpriced house." They're just not going to do that. They're going to give you lower. So get with your realtor, get with me, find out what to price your house for. When I price a house, I often will ask 3 or 4 of my colleagues what they would price their house for too. So it's not just one opinion you're getting when you come to me. I get people that have been doing this for as long as I have and longer to find out what they think. Where do you think I should price the house? And then I talk with the seller and we come up with something agreeable. But it's very, very important to price your house right. Don't make that mistake of pricing it too high.